Hi, and welcome to this episode of Talk Time, where I talk about all sorts of things to do with hypnosis. And today we have Teresa Saunders back again, and we're going to be talking about self-esteem and how we approach that as hypnotherapists. So I hope you enjoy this one.
Hi Meredith, how are you?
I'm good. It's nice to have you back again. It's been a while.
It has. It's nice to be back on the show too. Looking forward to this week.
Excellent. So we kind of did a bit of a brainstorm just a little bit ago, and we were thinking about things that people might want help with. And one of those things that you came up was self-esteem.
Yes, it's a topic, isn't it, about people and self-esteem. Where does it come from? How does it change? It's a big talking point.
Absolutely. If we think about how common it is for someone to feel a lack of self-esteem, I would say most people. I'm yet to find a human that hasn't at some point doubted in themselves.
For sure. And sometimes the people that we think on the outside seem the most confident people are the ones that have more self-doubt internally.
So talking about confidence and self-esteem and how sometimes we need to grow confidence with competence. And it kind of it's like reminds me of the 4 stages of learning, where often when we're doing something new for the very first time, we enter into a stage which is called unconscious incompetence, where we don't know what we don't know yet. And then as we start to practice, we start to move into conscious incompetence. Now we've got a list of things that we feel we're not good at. And that inner critic starts to do overtime, doesn't it?
It sure does. It's amazing how many things it can make you doubt on.
And the inner critic for me is very hypnotic. Like if someone is saying the same old thing to themselves that is sort of putting themselves down on the inside, that can make a big impact on how they feel and, and how they turn up.
For sure. Yeah. It's self-doubt and self-confidence. It's amazing how that impacts us quite widely. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier before we came on about affirmations, and sometimes they just don't work for people. What's your take on that?
I think sometimes people come along to see a hypnotherapist or another therapist, and they think that we have a magic wand and they're going to sit in our chair and we're going to say a few things and they maybe tell us a few things, and then this magic wand's going to come out and everything's going to fix and work. Sadly, that's not the case. It would be great if we could have this magic wand and, we could fix everybody and it was just done like that. But I think we have to realize we have to take ownership. It's not to say that we've done things wrong and we can't change what's happened in the past, but we can look at how we'd react differently to things and take things on board. So if I said to you, okay, Meredith, and you were really down and all that lot, I want you to say to yourself each day, I am beautiful, I'm amazing, I really love myself. The chances are, if you're feeling down, would you really be confident in saying that to yourself each day?
Or even remember to say it. Because when we're in a bad state, our state creates a veil of, I guess it shrinks our options. We often forget to do all the right things.
Yeah.
Because we're in a mood. Yeah.
And I mean, saying to myself, I love myself sort of thing. It's like, is that really going to make you feel as if you love yourself? Unlikely. So you've got to sort of own it, and you've got to use that emotion to elicit that change.
Yeah. Now, emotion is a key part of a hypnotherapist's toolkit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We've been privileged to listen to a very good speaker, Barbara Scholl, and she talks about that strong emotion, and it was a nice reminder, actually, that is a big part of what makes hypnosis quite powerful for people, is that we're helping them to tune in to that heightened emotion that they want to experience.
Mm. Another thing she uses a great deal as well is like your other senses, so your sight and your smell, which, you know, that all, for example, I guess you walk down the street and you can smell freshly ground coffee or fresh baked bread, then that brings up emotions into your body, doesn't it? So yeah, depending on whether we're more sensory or auditory.
Exactly. And so when I'm working with some of my clients, I will actually use aromatherapy, or I might use something tactile that they can take away with them. I had a client the other day, and his ADHD, and he particularly liked the squeeze ball that I had, and I said, keep it. Because, of course, they don't last forever. I'm thinking he's really enjoying it. And then when I did a Zoom session later on, he had it in his hand. He was playing with it. It was really nice. And then when he came back for a face-to-face, he didn't have it. I said, oh, you don't have your squeeze ball today? He goes, oh, no, I don't need it as much. It's really interesting. He had processed whatever it was that was causing him the anxiety and come out the other side. But, you know, when we're looking at self-esteem, quite often it is about identity, right? So someone's believing something about themselves that may not be fully true.
Exactly. It's somebody's perception or what they've told you quite often, and you take that on board, say, oh, well, I'm not good at doing that, or yeah, I'm fat, or yeah, sort of shaming yourself from something that you've heard somebody else possibly say to you.
And this is where we've got to step into our power and take ownership of what are the, I guess, words that I want to start to build in my inner vocabulary. And it's not just affirmation work, it's about a whole attitude. Like, how do I say, yeah, I'm beautiful because? Like, what is that because? What is going to make that true for you?
And actually
Right?
feeling it as well, not just saying those words, because like we were going back to, you know, we can say these words, but we don't actually feel them and mean it at that time. So it's not going to resonate and have power for you to change. But having said that, we can make small changes, can't we, to start those wheels turning, to change the negative thoughts and low self-esteem to change.
Absolutely. And I think the role of a hypnotherapist is to guide people through that process of not just engineering what are the right thoughts here, but what are the emotions that you want to build. So self-esteem is not just one emotion, it's many. It could be a feeling of inner strength, clarity, belief. I can hear your lovely dog in the background.
Yes. We're filming and he knows.
Nice. The other day, just to share with the folks out there, I had a Zoom meeting, and the dog comes in and does like hello to the world and again. Quite good. The animals have a lovely way about them to say, don't forget me, I'm here too.
I want to be in here. Remember my self-esteem.
So when we're looking at the idea of working with a client and we're wanting them to elicit very strong emotions, they probably have a moment in their life where they have felt proud, or they have felt okay, you know, or strong or confident or whatever. So when we create what we call an effect bridge, we take someone back to a time when they felt that positive feeling. It's very powerful because it's a real emotion. It's a real memory with a good emotion attached to it. And that's often what we can do within the session, can't we?
Yes. Yeah.
That means too, we can create now a new effect bridge from the past to the future. And we can take that good feeling and we can imagine our future self-confident version of ourselves going about whatever it is. So coming back to that analogy of the 4 stages of learning, I want to kind of think about how it is to drive a car for the first time. So you have that unconscious incompetence. You have no idea how to drive a car. Then you slip into conscious incompetence. You've got a list of things you're really not good at yet. And then after a while, you got to practice. You got to believe in yourself as you got to believe you're going to get better and better. Otherwise, you don't turn up. You don't turn up. So you've got to kind of keep a little bit of a flame of hope there. Now, you're not going to be excellent yet. That's okay. Everyone goes through those pain points. Everyone goes through those pain points of learning. But then we slip in magically sometimes into conscious competence, where suddenly we're driving the car well, but maybe not automatic pilot yet, We're still having to think about it consciously. So when we think about getting our emotional vehicle and we're learning to drive our emotional vehicle, it's like, okay, I need to think about the words that I want to start to reinforce in my mind. Kind of like that moment now, check the mirror, indicate intention, power down, all of those things that your brain has to consciously consider. After a while, when we start to clean up our internal dialogue towards ourselves on behalf of ourselves in a nicer way, we start to embed habit of being, habit of thinking that way, just like learning to drive a car. We embed that habit through repetition. So this is why, in some ways, affirmations are important, but they're not alone. They need to come with strong emotion. And that's where that belief that as I practice this, it's going to get better. It's Buddy again.
Yes.
So when we're looking at that idea of moving to that final stage of learning, that is unconscious competence, like you can drive from one place to another and not even have to think about it. It's effortless. Every activity that someone is starting and maybe they've never done it before yet, we start from the beginning. We're not going to be an expert straight away. But unfortunately, sometimes people will give it a little go. And because they then get met with a big setback and a bit of disappointment, their self-esteem goes, it drops down, right? So as a hypnotherapist, what do you think for you is important to remind the client about their reality?
That we can't, where are you actually judging this scale of competence on as well? Because we've all got different levels. We're all different. We're all unique. So some people really excel in some fields or not so much. Like my weakness, I guess, in one area would be art. If I compared myself to you, then I'd always be feeling to myself internally that I'm not really doing a very good job. I can't do these master art pieces. So we've also got to look and set a scale to ourselves and try not to judge ourselves to other people. And take on board if people say, oh, you're really bad at that, and ask yourself, well, am I really? According to who?
Yes, good challenge. It's good to challenge the reality of the stages of learning as well. Once upon a time, I couldn't play a flute. Like I couldn't make a sound out of a flute. And then I learned. Now, am I a master at playing the flute? No, but I stopped practicing. Now, if I had continued to practice, I may well be a master at this point in my life. But for whatever reason, I was that little girl and I was paired up with someone who could read the music easily. I couldn't. Who had done flute before. I'd never. And I just felt little in comparison to her. And it was unfair to be putting me in a space where that competition was there, because my self-esteem just left the building.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't until later on in life that I bought myself a flute. I think I would have been in my late 30s. And I bought it, but it needed to be conditioned because some of the little wee pads have been worn out because it was secondhand. And I didn't know this at the time of purchasing, but I realized I couldn't actually play it properly. So I gave up. Again, I like went into the too hard basket. I fast forward probably about 6 or more years later, and I decide, now, what am I going to do with this flute? I need to get it conditioned. Well, conditioning the flute cost me more than the flute itself, which was quite funny, but I did. I got it conditioned and I got it back. And then I started to play it, and I'm like, remind myself again why I want to play the flute. So that initial motivation, for whatever reason, that I had in my 30s or I had when I was in my teens had changed when I entered my 50s, right? So, that passion, I'm thinking, maybe I just sell the flute. I went and got myself some other instruments anyway that I seem to enjoy. So, c'est la vie, that sometimes happens, right? But it doesn't mean that I couldn't be a really confident flute player if I put in effort. So anything that you want to achieve, whether it's being a better communicator or being more motivated to do projects or whatever that is, often the doubt can really bring in a low energy. Like it just zaps you, when you have the doubter voice going on. And being aware that that doubter voice is not who you are. It is not who you are. It doesn't have to define you at all. It's just something you're experiencing. So if it's not who you are and it's something you're experiencing, you can change it. You have the power to change it. So that's where the hypnosis, I think, the process of getting someone to imagine as if you have high self-esteem. Tell me, what's different? This is where we go into that magical realm of planting that seed of possibility, right?
Yeah. And questioning if people say things to you, is it true? Really? I mean, how many people had a school teacher or that sort of said to them, oh, you're never going to be any good at that. You just won't excel. But if you're passionate for it, you will practice and you can excel. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to be very good. And where on that scale is good?
Absolutely. A good according to whom and what, right? Now, I love to play the drum. Now, I didn't know that I'd love to play the drum because I never got a chance to play the drum. But now I own my own drum and I've been practicing. And every time I get someone who knows how to play the drum coming over to my house, I get them to give me more things to practice. And quietly, I'm getting better and better and more confident and more competent. Will I ever be an amazing? Who knows? I don't know. Doesn't matter. As long as you're having fun. And this is the thing. Sometimes we don't have to be the greatest or the best. Sometimes it's just about having fun. Like, as long as you're having fun and enjoying it, that's it. That's it. Like art. Like, as long as you're having fun and enjoying it, it doesn't really matter how good it might be or not be. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. Sometimes we just create for the sake of creating it. Sometimes we do these things because it just makes us feel good. And as long as it's doing that, that's important. But what happens is that inner critic can take away that feel-good feeling because it's nagging at you going, you're shit, you're no good, yeah, you're not worthy, whatever that is. And it's all rubbish. It's just mind-made. So just as you made that up at some point in your internal vocab, you came to a conclusion at some point, you can re-script it. You don't have to continue saying the same old junk to yourself as you move forward in time. Right?
It's something I was going to say to people, about maybe I invite them to check in with themselves when they're talking to themselves. What words do they say? How often do you say kind words to yourself? Or do you more often say some more negative thoughts to yourself. And if you are seeing you're doing a lot of negative patterns, saying, you know, if you drop something, oh, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're clumsy, whatever, then look at that, note them down in a day. Or if you're not doing many, then do it in a week. Depends on, you know, it might be too much for you to do a week. A day might be, depending on how you talk with yourself. And then there's lots of negative ones. I invite you to see how you could change that to a positive pattern of talking to yourself.
For sure. That's a nice active exercise to go and consider. You know, words have power and they count because your body's listening to them. And so if you're saying rubbish to yourself, you're going to feel like rubbish. If we start to shift that on the inside, no one else can hear you, but it counts. And it counts as if people can hear you. I want you to start to consider that too. Like, imagine as if from now on, your thoughts are out loud. You're walking down the road, you're in the office, and your thoughts are out loud. What would you modify? What would you stop saying about yourself, to yourself? What would you do? How would you change that? What would you rather want yourself to be transmitting out into the world? What are the thought themes that you want to build? So start doing it as if your thoughts are universally exposed, you know, because they have energy and they affect our fundamental choices we make. If we don't believe in ourselves, we stop playing, we stop discovering, we stop growing.
One of the other ways I say to my clients as well is if they are doing a lot of negative self-talk to themselves, is like, would you say that to your best friend? Would you say that to your work colleague? And often they say, oh, no, I would never tell them that. It's like, well, why are you not showing yourself the same amount of kindness?
100%. So, Teresa, you know, what are the key things you'd like to leave people thinking about as they go back into their day?
How do I talk to myself? How do I talk to myself? What can I change? And is it true? Is it true? Yeah. I think those questions to ask themselves.
Nice questions, powerful. And I guess what I'd like people to really think about is be gentle on yourself, because as we're learning, we will naturally get better and better every time we turn up. And so being the best is not the end all and be all. It's being enough. And you're already enough. You're this human being on this journey of discovery. And when you're here to play, you're here to have an adventure, to learn, to grow, and do all of these things. And sometimes it's not always going to work out quite the way you thought. And sometimes it's going to be more challenging than you thought. And that's okay. It's perfectly okay. And just like everyone else, they feel that too. You're not alone. And I think it is important to be gentle. Start to be gentle from the inside. Start to give yourself some patience, some love, some reassurance. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And that's where it starts. And we do it through authentic emotion. We've got to key in what is it that I truly, my heart desires? What's important to me? What's going to make me have a good life, have fun, enjoy? And it could be something as simple as having some swimming lessons. If you've never learned how to swim, go, hey, doesn't matter that I'm all grown up. I could start to do some swimming lessons because I never got a chance to. Or maybe it's something else that you, like when you were a kid, you just never had a chance to. That's a kind of a want, a dream, desire in this lifetime. Give it a go. Turn up. Now you're probably going to be at that first stage of learning.
I was going to say, please don't beat yourself up. You're not always perfect, and that's okay too.
Absolutely. So persistence pays off. Persistence pays off, and be gentle. So I hope this talk time has been interesting for you guys out there. If you want to learn more about hypnotherapy, I'm running a diploma course and it's online. So anywhere, wherever you are in the world, you can come on and join us. It's a 1,000-hour diploma course. There's 120 hours of live sessions, and we're well on our way with this lot of students, and it's been exciting. There are 18 modules. You can find out more on the website nzach.ac.nz. And if you like this, please like it. It really helps us here. It gets the algorithm to acknowledge that we exist out into the big world. And I just love talking about things I feel passionate about. I'm a bit like a geek. All things to do with hypnosis. Yeah, I love talking about it all the time. And I think I've got a fellow geek here too. I hope you don't mind me calling
No,
you
we
that.
spend many hours talking about hypnotherapy and how we can help others, or see it more recognised.
Yep. So anyway, thank you everyone for your attention, and thank you for those that have subscribed and have been following along. We really appreciate that. And for those that haven't subscribed, if this is your cup of tea, please remember to subscribe, and we'll see you in another week. I come out with these once a week on a Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. So tune in. Love to see you again. And if you've got any questions or would like to comment, please feel free to do so. Anyway, bye for now. Thank you, Teresa.
Bye. Thank you.